Welcome to Truth Sentinel, watching over the truth in the news. My name's Scott, and I'm joined by Seth today, and we're going to be talking about what's going on in the world and giving our commentary on it, and of course inviting you to come and join us. Anyone out there who wants to come and join us, we'll put the link later. Just to remind you that if you would like to join us, when I post the link, just make sure you've got, if possible, a headset or a microphone, and switch off your video to save on bandwidth, and then come and give us your few minutes or 5 minutes of what you think's going on in the world, your comments. Also, of course, we've got the chat room where you can make comments, ask questions, and post links, whatever you want to do. Seth, how are you?
Oh, I'm all right, man. Just living as always. It's been kind of a weird last couple weeks since our last show and whatnot. Just life. Book released fairly recently. What was that, last month? Lost one of our little rats there about like a week ago. Just it's been living, trying to stay up on dealing with the shift in weather and all that. Things have been getting pretty goddamn cold out of nowhere, and granted, it's fucking almost November, man. So just dealing with that. YouTube's taken down my latest best of Smoke Volume 3 and all this. I had to put it on BitChute, and just weathering the storm, getting ready for the inevitable axe to come down, considering every single song that they were willing to flag for misinformation is already on the channel as is. So I mean, it's just a matter of time before they start hacking on the rest of it.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everyone that we've had lots of episodes deleted. This one may well be deleted later.
Yeah.
Last one's is still up. I've actually noticed that if you give the episode a title that's not related to the things we talk about, it's related to other things, that they tend not to get deleted so easily. So I'll try that for a while. Yeah, so if we do get deleted, remember, I'm going to post some links under this video. You can always find us at www.truthsentinel.co.uk. If ever we disappear, just go and find us there. So try and save that website if you can, www.truthsentinel.co.uk. You'll also find us on most kind of alternative channels. I don't often move everything across all the videos, but Odyssey luckily does it automatically, so you can definitely find us on Odyssey. And I'll try and see if we're able to stream on there sometime. I think we might be able to, but it might cost something. On that note, a big thank you to one message in particular I got from a listener who said they would be willing to fund us streaming from another site, which I thought was a really nice gesture.
Oh,
Seth,
wow.
that was one of our listeners said they would pay for it. Yeah, which would be great. Hopefully it won't come to that. I mean, hopefully, I've actually got better work at the moment. If it continues, then I'll be able to contribute too. Anyway, so today we're going to look at the news and then invite you to come and join us. I was going to kick off, Seth, by showing you this and see what you thought. Basically, this was something I saw on Yahoo News. Okay, not the best source of news, maybe, but let me just see if I can find it first. Yeah, I'm just going to share the screen for a second. Let's see. This one here. Can you see that, Seth? Maybe Seth can see that.
Sure. Sorry, doctors question sedative dose used in Oklahoma execution. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah. So
Right
basically, there was an execution in Oklahoma, and they gave the dosage, and the guy vomited before he was executed, and there was a big article in the news about that, saying they need to get the dosage right. And one of the reasons why it caught my eyes, because you'll notice in this article, if I scan down, I think I've mentioned this before, but it talks about the 3 drugs they use. Grant 60 convulsed and vomited after the sedative midazolam was administered. Also, vercuronium bromide and potassium chloride, which stops the heart. That's gonna that's going to lead us on to something else I was going to talk about today, which is the mysterious cases of celebrities and sports people collapsing.
Well, completely
mid-game.
unrelated, right? Completely unrelated. Obviously, I wouldn't want anyone to jump to any conclusions here or anything,
Of
right?
course, I'm not suggesting it's anything to do with those jibby jab things that people are getting. It's just that there seems to be an awful lot of them. At the same time, they started administering though. But Seth, they are not related. I want to stress that it's obviously nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah, obviously. Only some sort of conspiracy theorist would believe something like along those lines. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and also conspiracy theorist doctors, because I do know that there was a lot of doctors out there who spoke out and said actually heart attacks, blood clots, and myocarditis is going to be a big symptom of those jibby jabs. But it's probably nothing. But I thought I'd show some of those later to show that there is a huge increase. You can do a search on Google, people collapsing or players collapsing mid-game within the last 2 weeks. There's been some. I'll show you some examples later. But let me get back to those chemicals in the real execution jabs, because yeah, you'll be interested to know that all of them are being used during the COVID-19 pandemic. And you could say, well, they're just drugs, but let's just have a look at some of them anyway. First of all, have a look at this one. What do we know about the ingredients used in the Pfizer jab? Well, we do know that it has ingredients like potassium chloride. Now, you may have just heard that from the execution I just mentioned there. There's one of them. I'm going to show you some others as well. But while I'm looking for the other links, what do you think about that, Seth? Do you think that this means anything, or is this just another coincidence?
I find it rather interesting that regardless as let's first give a shout out to the people in the chat right now. We have Bob Westfall, Moonlight Poet, and then oh my goodness, I'm trying not to butcher your name here, man. Bartlomiej Rybka TV, I believe. Just shout out to both you guys, and thanks for joining us in the chat. Anybody else that wants to join us in the chat, feel free, put your comments, things you want to talk about, and help create the show, help steer the conversation and all that. Let's see what we have. But yeah, I think it is a little bit interesting that these people would, regardless of age range, regardless of gender, regardless of pre-existing conditions or anything, the one commonality they have is, of course, following the rules, following the mandates. And then these people start collapsing and dying at a very, very increased rate. I find it also interesting that not just deaths, but also cases of quote unquote COVID, or the Delta variant, as they keep referring to it, have actually spiked, absolutely flat out fucking spiked, regardless of what country we're talking about. Ireland, England, the United States, Australia, Canada, whatever. The second the mandates became a thing, not just necessarily the vaccines becoming a thing, but the mandates themselves of promoting huge swaths of the population to go along with it. And then these, the huge amount of increase of cases show up. And of course, this is something they don't really want to talk about, but something's got to give. You can't have a population like Ireland where over 90% of people are, according to their numbers, not mine, according to their numbers, are vaccinated, right? Willingly, all this stuff, they've gotten vaccinated. Yet there are still more cases now than there were before they were all vaccinated. Something has got to give. No amount of censoring me or you or anyone else is going to change that. I mean, and this is all entirely from their perspective, from the sort of people that believe in the efficacy of these very things and whatnot. Would it not be in everyone's best interest to make sure that they minimize the amount of COVID out there? I mean, just saying, come on.
Yeah, but I agree, and we'll talk more on that as well later. But I just also wanted to stress that these vaccines are safe, though. We have been told that, and I don't know. Bangkok Post here in Thailand: student loses leg after second cross jab, then dies. I'm actually surprised they were allowed to print that in the Bangkok Post. A lot of other newspapers around the world and news outlets are basically refusing to say anything negative. There are people dying, kids dying, and when the parents try to make a YouTube video or just try and get the word out there and say, hey, my kid died literally 1 hour after having the jab, they're basically being banned off YouTube. So, yeah, this was
I
this the
think we knew
Bangkok
this was going
Post.
to happen,
Mhm.
Scott, considering
Yeah,
they did the same thing with masks and stuff when kids started collapsing from wearing the masks at school and during hard physical activity, especially as we got closer to summertime and all this, and things are hot. They're running around outside with masks on and all this and collapsing because that, yeah, lack of oxygen.
yeah, definitely. And so there's that one there from the Bangkok Post. Also, let's take a look at this guy. Um, this you get a lot of these celebrities and famous people getting the jab and being videoed doing it. Unfortunately, that doesn't bode well if they don't turn out to be too healthy later on. Let's have a look at this example here. I don't know if you heard about this, Seth. This Indian, very famous Indian actor. He's kind of like the equivalent of Brad Pitt in the
Oh, wow.
India. Um, so let me just have a look at this article. Sandalwood star Punith Raj Kumar received the first dose of COVID-19, made a video of it. There's a nice picture of him having it administered there. Got my first dose of vaccination today. If you're 45 years and above, ensure you get vaccinated. We've seen lots of these kind of pictures and videos, and the news love to show that as a kind of advert, but they don't like to. Well, in fact, they did actually show the fact that this guy, unfortunately, is not feeling too healthy at the moment. I'm going to just show you how he's feeling right at the moment. This is 6 months later, and a lot of doctors have said, the long-term effects of these vaccines need to be looked at because they're creating all kinds of blood clots and
Could you
things like
call
that.
it long COVID?
You could, yeah, if that
Mhm.
exists, of course. Let's have a look at how he's feeling now. Oh, he's not feeling too good. Punith Raj Kumar, Indian film star, dies age 46. It's not
Well, I
like
mean,
he's
46, that's a little bit older. I mean, come on, Scott. Come on. Geez, what are you talking about there? He lived a long, healthy, like fruitful life. 46? Come on. Jeez.
yeah. I'm obviously not saying this is anything to do with the jibby jab, but he did die of a heart attack, which a lot of doctors who have been speaking out, even though they're now banned off all mainstream media, they say expect a lot of heart attacks. So there's Punith Raj Kumar,
I
unfortunately
wonder
dead,
why they would expect heart attacks, Scott. It's not like myocarditis. Oh no.
and blood clots. And of
Yeah.
course, there's no mention in this article. There's never, with most of these, especially on the BBC, of course, there'll never be any mention whether they're jabbed or not. But you can take it if they're sports people, celebrities, on or working on a film set. Most of the time, they have to have it to actually
Yeah,
maintain their
unless you've
job.
seen them on the news talking about how they're not taking it, or the news like making a huge deal about talking shit about them, they've probably taken it.
Yeah, definitely. And then, all the time we're getting things like this happening. Let me show another one. There's been lots of cases recently of celebrities and sports people collapsing during the game. There was one the other day, literally the other day. Sergio Aguero was taken to hospital for tests after suffering chest discomfort. So it's probably some kind of heart issue. They mentioned it was a cardiac issue. I'll just show a quick glimpse of that. I won't read all of these articles, but there it is. Aguero, the height of his fitness, one of the world's top football strikers, collapses on the pitch there and clutching his chest. Now in hospital in the cardio ward, and this is becoming quite regular now. So it's going to be hard if this is a thing, and if it is related, then it's going to become more and more obvious. I mean, I've got lots of links here. There's another fan who collapsed during the Tottenham game, heart attack, And to attend football matches in England now, you kind of have to show that you've been vaccinated.
Well, and have you noticed a huge trend just in general of even before they start saying it's just heart attack, of mysterious celebrity deaths since about January or February of this year that have just started piling up, bam, 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 one after the other.
I've noticed that there's some of them are old, but that's kind of what a lot of these doctors have been saying, that if you're over 70 and you get this vaccine, then you're more likely to have these problems. And so we've seen lots of people, celebrities in their 70s. Every day you go on the BBC, it's such and such has died, someone else has died. So yeah, I won't post all the links.
I find it interesting how these are the very people that would tell you that, if it saves one life, then it's worth it when it comes to something along the lines of gun control. And yet when it comes to something along the lines such as vaccination, let's say, they talk about and downplay it. Well, hey man, the risk of you actually having something go wrong is only 1 in like 10 million or 1 in 100 million. And well, that's great, unless you or someone you care about is the 1 in the 10 million, right, bud? Like, what kind of weird fucking suddenly nihilism kicks in, and suddenly now a cynical worldview in which, hey man, some sacrifices are going to have to be made, come into play the second it becomes an issue they want on their terms.
Even that argument about, it's so few out of the millions, that argument doesn't work when it comes to the kids. There's no rational explanation for what they're doing with kids. There's no explanation whatsoever. Considering
they're like the least likely group to, if you buy all of what they say, they're the least likely group to get it. They're the least likely group to get so sick from it that they actually like die or have any long-term negative repercussions, consequences at all. And yet they are being forced to take something that actually has a higher risk of leaving them. Well, I'll just leave it there. But I think we know. I think we know what it is, dude.
I think for anyone who's skeptical that there's anything nefarious going on, just look at the rationality behind administering jabs to children as young as 5 in some countries. There's no rational explanation apart from something nefarious is going on. I just wanted to post the link early for anyone who wants to join us. I think this cat that's been visiting me recently might be outside meowing. I might let him in later and introduce him to Truth Sentinel listeners. She has been harassing me a lot this week. But okay, let's just say a quick hello to some of the people in the chat. We've got Bob. Bob, who I know actually, he actually lives on this island. Bob, if you want to come and say hello, I'm going to post the link in a minute. Bob actually just did it. Has just got out of quarantine, so he might be able to tell us what that was like. We also got Bartlo. Let me see if I can pronounce this. Bartlomayev Ribka TV, who's also a podcaster. I'm a podcaster, guys, too. We talk about this madness. Yeah, my friend's channel was deleted. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah, at some point we may just leave YouTube anyway.
Straight up.
Do we really want to support these people? Ossie's here. Ossie might want to come and say hello in a minute. I'm going to post the link early for anyone who wants to come and join us. So there's the link. Just to remind you, if you can get a microphone, switch off the video, and then just come in, and then I'll bring you in when you want to say. Oh, Bob's got to go anyway. He's got a music lesson. He's a very good guitarist, is Bob. But he might join us later. So, and you're welcome to listen to the recording, Bob, and join us another time anyway, or later if you do come back in time. So where was I? Yeah, we were talking about the people collapsing. Anything else caught your eye in the news, sir?
Oh my God, Scott, I have an entire freaking list of things here, but most of it's pretty quick stuff. The strikes that are going on and the protests all over the place. There's massive strikes in pretty much every single major country. And the United States, it's finally reaching that point. And I kind of figured it was going to have to be at the point when everybody had their backs against the wall to get all the weekend warriors up off their asses and actually doing something about it, because now it fucking affects them and their children too. Right.
Yeah. Seth, actually, I'm gonna hand it over to you just for a few minutes while I get this cat in, because it's just gonna meow constantly.
Right on, man. Gee, Scott, always obsessed with the puss. Come on, man. What do we got? Yeah, vax mandate protest strikes, New York City garbage strike has been a big thing. For about the last 10 days, there's been no pickup of garbage in New York City at all. They have firefighters that en masse have called out. They have police officers en masse that have called out because de Blasio, the mayor of New York, at one point actually threatened to cut off pay for all the people that they were that refused the vaccine, including like their last paycheck, and be like, just fuck you guys, you don't get anything, right? Well, those people have called the bluff, and the entire city has ground to an absolute fucking halt, and it's happening all over the rest of the country. We've got truckers strikes now. We've got all sorts of shit. And I find it very interesting that we have this happening at the exact same time as the major port closures and the major port, don't call them closures, call them, let's say, bottlenecks that they're creating on purpose, because they have to, for all intents and purposes, hold everything in as slow a line as they possibly can. It's a very cute cat, man.
This cat has been harassing me all week. It's not my cat. I think it's actually a semi-wild cat. Maybe it's coming to contact with humans, but it's been meowing all the time. I have been feeding it, but it is you are probably one of the most needy, irritating cats I've come across. But sometimes you're cute, so say hello to the Truth Sentinel listeners. How come you don't meow when you're actually required to? Anyway, you go down over there. Started meowing again now. You're supposed to do that into the microphone.
Jeez.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to ask you, there's been a lot of mandates over in the US. How's that going down? I mean, people resigning in their thousands?
Yeah, left and right. It's literally all falling apart. The entire medical system has huge amounts of people where they have shortfalls and stuff, but the system is attempting to paper over everything that they can by forcing people to work double shifts and stuff like that, giving them as much overtime as they possibly can, trying to get in as many scabs as humanly possible to fill in different union jobs. Certain labor unions and whatnot just have put their fucking foot down in the first place, and it ain't happening. One of the things that I thought was really interesting when it comes to union stuff, and this is a union that I normally can't stand, that my fiance is a part of, what is it, I think it's called the caregivers union or whatever the hell it is, for the HCA, home care assistants and all that stuff, or home care aid, I'm pretty sure is what it is. But those guys have said straight up they have no interest in trying to force any of their employees or any of their members to do anything on that when it comes to vaccines or anything like that, because that sort of stuff is going to get them, and they've already been told very, very, very forcefully, about 60 to 70% of their entire workforce will walk away unnoticed immediately if they try and do that. And it means their entire union would collapse. And it's happening to any place that's trying to call the bluff there. They're falling apart. And we're getting to watch it in live time. It's actually something that I have a feeling it's going to be a couple weeks until we fully see the ramifications of. But even here in Washington State, I'm starting to get to see things like over the last 2 weeks, even simple shit like the price of dog food has fucking skyrocketed up 70%, and it's going to get worse significantly over the next few weeks, between, again, what I was just talking about earlier, of the bottlenecks at major ports, where they have huge lines of shipping containers and whatnot, cargo vessels that aren't allowed to dock and, you know what I mean, get rid of their inventory and resupply and everything, because they have to go through the process of making sure everyone's vetted and making sure, well, you got to make sure nobody's got the COVID, and we got to have the government bureaucracy bullshit and all this stuff. It has been an entire excuse. Let's say if you're a foreign country and you wanted to bring the United States to its fucking knees, you would have a hard time doing a better job than what is going on right now.
Sorry, this cat's irritating me again.
Yeah, you're good, man. Quiet. You're good.
Can you hear them meowing sometimes?
Yeah, occasionally when it's a little bit louder there, but it's pretty quiet and kind of awkwardly in the distance. Your apartment is haunted by a ghost cat or something.
If anyone knows about cats, this cat literally just comes into my room. It's a semi-wild cat, and it meows, walks around in circles. It's so kind of, you can't relax around this cat much, but occasionally it sits down. But it's doing that now. It's pacing. Anyway, yes. If anyone can, someone said it might be on heat, but it's been on heat for 2 weeks now, I think, which is
So I don't. Yeah. I think it's just a
Um,
needy cat, dude. My fiance's cat that we got is just, she's very, 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 very needy too. So trust me, I get it. Like the kind of crazy shit where you're like just trying to sit on the computer and they'll just be like jump in your lap and just like, so this is my computer now and stuff like
I
that.
am going to
It's kind
link
of
this
goofy.
cat. I am going to link this cat into the vaccine mandates business, because I went to a vet and I explained the issue I'm having with this cat, and she said, "Oh, you just bring her in and give them the snip, and I thought, and we'll vaccinate them and everything, and I thought, you know what? In this current period in history, I don't want to be vaccinating anything against its will
Yeah.
unless it can, give its consent. So, that was just tying it into this.
Well, Scott, the vegan in me would like to tell you that consent is always important, regardless of what point in history you're in. And things that can't give you their consent means that it's not right for you to do things against their will. Just
Fair
saying.
enough.
It's the
Fair
same
enough.
reason why, doing stuff with children or victimizing children is, well, it's considered victimizing and a crime because people that are under the age cannot consent. It's something we've agreed upon. It's the same thing with animals and whatnot. It's why bestiality is the devil. It's because animals cannot consent. Those are horrifying, weird raper people. And again, we live in a society where people think it's okay to force their beliefs on people that directly say they do not want something and then act like there's some sort of fucking weird middle ground when it comes to something like animals. They'd be like, oh, we should respect the rights of animals or whatever, but then simultaneously force everyone to get vaccinated or vice versa, right? It's just, I'm so fucking tired of the hypocrisy and lack of moral consistency in people in general, man.
Well, there's nothing. Another example of that during this pandemic is, the years and years we've heard about how terrible segregation is, and in Africa, in South Africa, and in other countries, blacks this
Apartheid.
way, whites this way, apartheid. And now, but when it comes to vaccines, here in on this island, I told you I've already been to restaurants where they're like vaccinated here, unvaccinated over here.
Yeah.
It's called the green zone. And that's going to become
that's Orwellian as shit.
Yeah, that's going to become global, as far as I'm concerned. A lot of these things you see happening in countries, in one country, they're just testing it basically. I mean, that's why over the last month I've been kind of really thinking about, well, do I want to stay here and potentially be stuck here forever, and not being able to get back to the UK? Do I want to go back to the UK?
And potentially be in a fucking prison if you go back. No, dude, I feel it. Trust me, I feel it.
Yeah, and it's a very uncertain time. So anyone out there who's kind of feeling confused and uncertain about their future, join the club. I've totally been feeling that way about work and everything over the last few weeks. It's it's a difficult time,
What you just brought up about the apartheid thing, totally, though, that's actually one of the points I've got here is New Zealand's prime minister, that whatever the fuck her name is, the lady that I make fun of for the horse teeth and all that, admits to creating an apartheid. Yeah, Jacinda, whatever. She literally created an apartheid state and is laughing about it, yucking it up on the fucking news.
I was going to play that. If I was a more organized person, I'd have that clip to queue up now. But yeah, check it out. Basically, it's Jacinda is asked. There's a guy asking and says, "Look, I know you probably don't mean it this way, but it almost seems like you're creating a two-tier society, with the vaccinated who can, have got their freedoms and the unvaccinated who haven't." And she smirked and said, "That's exactly what it is." As if to say she's proud of it. She's proud of this two-tier society she's creating. And then someone later suggested, well, would you go as far as ankle bracelets for the unvaccinated? She was, and everything's on the table. Or she kind of just she kind of said, yeah, it was a good idea. She's gone total Nazi. Yeah.
Well, Scott, let's be completely honest. These people literally believe that if they were told, and granted, not everyone is down with this, but there are a large amount of people that have been so fear-mongered that if they were told the only way to get rid of the corona was to kill people like you and I, those of us that didn't go along with the entire plan there or whatever, they would be okay with it. And I mean, granted, not everyone. We're seeing right now, there's a large amount of the populace that is just cowardly and weak and that is still willing to stand up when their backs are put against the wall, right? But even that, though, there's still a lot of people out there that are buying this insanity that would literally give up their children right now if they were told, okay, the only way to stop the coronavirus is to give up your kids, and we're going to like cut their guts out and read the prophecies of Fauci in the fucking entrails. There are people that would be down with it right now. No jump to it, no nothing. There's no need to explain it with science or to come up with some pseudo scientific bullshit argument or rationale for it. They'll just, yes sir, and just go into fucking lockstep with it. There are a lot of order followers.
No need for a rational explanation with these rules, because we've already come so far on things that don't make any sense whatsoever. Giving the jabs to kids, for example, as I mentioned before, absolutely no rational explanation. Let's just say hello to Kieran, who just arrived as he's forgot the clocks went back over there, which is also means I forgot as well, because I sent out a message saying see you at 5 p.m. to those in the UK, but then I must have been wrong. It's probably 4 p.m. So we might have a few people arriving an hour late. But you're used to that, Seth, because you're always telling me, do we start in 1 hour? Yeah.
Dude, I don't mind the time zones thing. What I mind is the daylight savings time stuff that we still rock here in the United States. And they're like,
that's what Kieran's talking about, I think.
Yeah, we're supposed to not do that shit anymore, and yet people still do, and it's like a whole I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. I really wish that we all just had the one time system, because it makes sense. Time zones make sense to me. There's nothing weird about that. It's nothing hard to keep up on for the most part. It's just when you start going to, the clocks are going forward here, clocks are going back here. I have a certain time in my head for like memorized for what your time is supposed to be, or what anybody that I'm like doing podcasts or streams or whatever with. Like I generally speaking figure that shit out and can keep that calculated. But when you start going forward and backwards in time, I don't know why it does, but it just totally fucking throws me off.
Oh yeah, totally.
We have Bartlomiej Rybka TV has, what is it? In Poland, they're talking about fourth. Oh my God. And forcing Poland or people to take a third dose. Jesus. Personally, I live in UK, had COVID and went through this hard, but I won't vax. Yeah, well, no, I get you on that one. I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because it's getting beyond ridiculous. I mean, any of these people are questioning, like they were told basically, get the vaccine, everything goes back to normal. And then very quickly they were told, you need a second one. And now if
Boosters.
you haven't had your second jab and your booster, you're classed as not vaccinated now in a lot of countries.
Ain't that a bitch?
Yeah, and there's two interesting things about that, because that they can use that for two different methods. They can say that everyone who's dying in hospital are unvaccinated, when really it means they've had one jab. They haven't had the two and the booster. So they're actually allowed to class them as unvaccinated, even if they've had one jab. So that they can use it to that advantage. And
well, didn't they recently say that certain, what is it, the CDC, I believe it was saying that they're not going to be listing people's vaccination status when it comes to deaths and whatnot now, supposedly from COVID?
Well, they're just manipulating everything to suit their agenda, basically. I mean, look at this one. Double vaccinated can still spread virus at home, says the BBC. So you can get your two vaccines, even though you were told you had one. You can get your booster. But it says here, double jab people are catching COVID and passing it on to those they live with, warn experts who've studied household cases. So wait a minute. What you're saying is you can have your second vaccine and you still can catch COVID. You can still pass it on. You can still go to hospital. You can still die for it, although they say you're less likely to. I'd like to see the proof of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have to wear masks, and you still open to a lot of the restrictions that other people are anyway. So
pretty much every single restriction. It's actually hilarious because they reduce like one or two of the restrictions out of like a fucking list of over a dozen, and then people go, see, look, I'm free. This is freedom now. It's the frog in the pot thing. There's a reason that my last album that I put out, Conspiracy of Normalcy, is literally frogs in a pot boiling and whatnot, because it's just perfect metaphor for all of this. People have this idea that somehow you would complying with power hungry tyrants would ever get you your freedom back or safety or anything like that. You complying with them and listening to them is what gives them power over you. Granted, it gives them power over a lot of other people too. And you aren't responsible for every single other person in the world, right? You can't make their choices. So again, they use the weight of the waves of crashing morons upon you in order to try and get you to conform or destroy you. But never bend or break to these people. It is some of the most weird shit I've ever seen in my entire life, man, where they're telling you, hey, just get the first dose and it'll all be normal and we'll get to go back to normal. And it's like, get the second dose. Now I get the third dose. Scott, you're old enough to remember exactly when this happened with 9/11, post 9/11. There was the, oh, well, now we got to have the TSA people. And well, actually for you, I'm sure it's what, 7/7 and all this bullshit, right? Because after 7/7, man, come on, dude, we gotta lock down everything. We gotta have people that are, with fucking machine guns and dogs and stuff in the airports all the time. We gotta be patting you down like it's a fucking third world country in the middle of a
it's all about keeping us. It's all about keeping us safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just in case you were thinking of running off to Tonga, Seth, if you were thinking, okay, well, I'm going to run off to the island of Tonga, just to get away from all of this madness, because Tonga was one of the few places in the world that didn't have any COVID. Well, the country just found it's had its first COVID case and is preparing for its potential lockdown. Isn't that exciting?
One case lockdown. One case.
So they're thinking of a national lockdown because maybe they felt left out. So an infector, listen to this. This even ties into what we were just saying. So this came from an infected traveller who arrived in Tonga on Wednesday, having flown from Christchurch, according to New Zealand's health ministry. The passenger was fully vaccinated, had tested negative. This is absolute nonsense. This is happening all the time. So this person was fully vaccinated, had tested negative prior to the flight, and somehow had brought it into the country. Like this, nobody's asking why. How could that be possible? This is happening on many occasions now. So people.
Well, and I just looked up here. What's the population of Tonga? Right? How much would you guess there, Scott? Just general estimate.
Oh, I'm terrible at population count, so I'd say 10,000. I have no idea.
106,000 people. One motherfucker supposedly has it with a test that's already been shown to be highly ineffective in the first place.
So they're going to lock down the whole place based on someone who tested negative before stepping onto the plane, is fully vaccinated, which is probably a bad thing, to be honest. Oh, no, sorry. I mean, I take that back. There's nothing bad about vaccines.
Say 3 Hail Faucis and fucking self-flagellate for a while, and then you'll be back in the club, bro.
Self-flatulate, maybe, yeah. And got on the plane completely free of COVID, and steps off the plane and mysteriously spreads it on the island. Because of the dodgy PCR test. 100% dodgy, that test. It's even
well, I mean, Carrie Mullis, we've talked about it from the beginning, man. It's one of the things that, knowing all of this, it really does feel like being in a separate world from people that haven't been keeping up with it as time has gone by. I mean, was it the vice president of Pfizer telling everybody that it's probably going to sterilize all sorts of people? I mean, those are his words, not mine. So, I mean, direct quote and all that. But it's something to think about. I mean, Bartlemage has, what is this? Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that a little bit too. The potential that this isn't just necessarily something along the lines of population reduction via croaking people or getting them to be unable to reproduce. Instead, it could potentially be making sure that people are ready to be plugged into what's called the Internet of Things. This is something and is a little bit more kind of out there, but at the same time, I've always been willing to discuss with people because the entire like transhumanism insanity to me does feel like it's literally a cult, and like it obviously, like all cults, over promises and over says like what it can actually do and provide for people in order to get them to join the cult. But one thing that does stick out big time with all of the Internet of Things stuff and the 5G for the world and all this is that they want to have the ability to track you, to talk to you, to listen to what you say, see what you buy, see what you're doing, where you're at, who you're around, all this kind of stuff. But then more importantly, they want to be inside you. They want to control and monitor your heartbeat. They want to control and monitor your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your respiration rate, your oxygen levels in your blood, your whatever the fuck, right? And I just saw an interesting ad the other day for a substance. Oh my God, what was there? A product? What the hell was it called? There's some sort of ring, some bullshit like a bio-monitoring ring that they have now. That's the future of health. Because, you know, who needs to go to the doctor when the doctor can be in you? And I'm like, that honestly was some of the scariest fucking shit I've seen in a minute. And yet people will just literally go, because this obsession with technology, there are people that'll go out and be like, yep, I want this thing. I can only imagine how that instrument or any of these new smart instruments interact with the definitely not pieces of metal inside your bloodstream if you've been
Seth, though,
jibber jabber walked.
you don't need to see your own doctor when you've got this lovely doctor here to help you. Oh, Fauci himself. He's got a video. He's made a video how to talk to your kids about the COVID-19 vaccines.
How to talk to your kids about accepting the Lord and Savior into your bloodstream. Come on. It's the only way that you can be clean, kids. Jesus Christ.
It would be a good idea to vaccinate the children, says Fauci. That's how you know this guy's is evil.
Fauci can go vaccinate himself, okay?
Yeah. I think we'd all like to see that. We obviously wish no harm would come to him.
I'm pretty sure they had pictures of Hunter Biden vaccinating himself, didn't they, on that hard drive? Pretty sure he was vaccinating himself pretty hard in some of those pictures.
Oh yeah, that's right, Hunter Biden. Yeah,
he was doing it before it was cool. That's because he knew. He knew that vaccines were important.
Just a quick hello to everyone in the chat again. Kieran, Ossie, Ribka TV. Ribka TV says, my friend channels independent TV with 250,000 subscribers, over 7,000 movies, podcasts and interviews was deleted without an explanation. Yeah, I mean, that's happening. We've had a lot of episodes deleted. I think the fact that Ribka TV mentioned that we don't have that many viewers, and I think that's probably why we're still here at the moment. If we had, in some ways, hundreds of thousands, we probably would have been deleted even faster. So, yeah, Andre, poor bagel dogs.
Bagel dogs? Oh God, bagel dogs! Science has gone too far. It must be stopped. How you doing, Andre?
Yeah, I'm going to I'll post the link again for anyone who wants to join us in a moment. Yeah, so there's been lots of these creepy news articles about how to explain to your kids why they should get the vaccine, which does take a bit of explanation, to be fair, because they even kids.
Well, unless your kid's been plugged into CNN for the last however long, or you've been feeding them fear this whole time, they tend to not like needles and tend to not like that stuff so much that no amount of bullshit is going to change their mind, unless you've programmed them with Fear TV, which is fucking CNN, BBC, MSNBC, any of that insanity.
Don't worry, Seth, because just a moment, let me close this video. Yeah, don't worry, because CNN has a nice article here, an expert's advice on younger kids in the vaccine. And they say, if your kid's scared of needles, basically, you can just listen to their advice, which is to use exposure to cope with needle phobia. It takes time and professional guidance, but you can just, introduce them to needles gently first before you get them to take the vaccine. Make them feel comfortable around vaccines. It says ages 5 to 7, keep it simple. Think about the people that will be in the room, the sounds they will hear. Keep them nice and relaxed. Don't mention any of the mathematical inconsistencies about them having to get a jab, of course, because we don't want... Kids are smart. They can work it out for themselves. Yeah, it's creepy. All these, these people are literally taking part.
Grooming, I believe, is the term.
Exactly. I'm going to post the link for anyone who would like to join us. Remember, switch off your video, come and join us, give us your comments, maybe talk for a few minutes, and then we'll bring other people in. Anything else that caught your eye, Seth?
Shit, let's see what we got here, man. We have, oh yeah, wonderfully. The World Economic Forum talks about how, the internet will eventually evolve into the metaverse, which will represent the next major computing platform. And now Facebook changes its name to Meta.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to catch on
Interesting.
much, really.
Oh, I find it interesting in that I feel like it ties into the entire Internet of Things and transhumanism stuff pretty hard because
Yeah.
Zuck the Cuck has shown himself to be, Zuckerborg, as we call him there, has shown himself to be very, very, very much so friendly to the ideas of transhumanism. He's a regular Elon Musk, if you will. Let's see what else we have. The Lincoln Project Tiki Torches thing is ridiculous and brings up the idea that the DNC could have staged the entire Jews will not replace us protest bullshit under the Trump presidency and all that they tried to say were evil, racist, anti-Semitic Trump supporters and all this stuff. It's very, very, very sketchy. I highly suggest everybody look it up. Of Project Lincoln or Lincoln Project in Nashville, I believe it is, something like Tennessee. I could be wrong, could be Virginia, where it's a gubernatorial race, and these guys show up pretending to be supporters of the gubernatorial candidate, and they've got the tiki torches and all this, and they're like, oh yeah, start shouting a bunch of bullshit, and it's so fucking cringy and bad. We have shortages, inflation, contrived pork pile up. Oh yeah, Janet Yellen's tax unrealized profit. So unrealized profit. They're literally talking about taxing uncreated, like money you haven't even earned yet. Also, the giant tax hike that's coming across the board to everyone, because good old Bo Jiden and all of his wonderful world government communist fucking butt buddies there in charge of the government and the monetary supply. Janet Yellen, I thought it was interesting. For a long time here, I say a long time, Jesus Christ, it just feels like fucking ages, since Biden's been in office, arguing with people that say that, it means Obama's controlling all of this. Well, I would say the people that control Obama are controlling all of this, but it is a little bit hard to argue when Biden's pretty much put in almost exclusively people that were part of the same old same under Obama. And so it's pretty much Barry Soetoro fucking volume 3 here. And Janet Yellen in charge of the Federal Reserve just seems to be the cherry on top of all this bullshit, because she is literally a fucking monster frog person if I've ever seen one. She looks like George Soros in a dress, for Christ's sakes. What do we have? UK politicians orders to stop counting crimes committed by trans women as female crimes. I saw that recently in the news. Thought that was a pretty classic one. Apparently, because rape by women is up exponentially. Theft by women is up exponentially. Public indecency and exposure, public masturbation and all sorts of things are up exponentially, right, among women, because the crimes of trans women are being ascribed to women. And a particular UK politician, something Patel, what the hell is her name? I have it written down here. Prita Patel, I believe, is actually, is demanding that they...
Pretty Patel, yeah.
Pretty Patel, whatever the fuck, I don't care. Just some whatever, right? Some stupid politician. But she is talking about how, like, we can't have trans women counted as women when they commit crimes. Then they are men. I'm like, oh, how wonderful to see the fucking mental gymnastics these hardcore ideologues play.
Wasn't there the first army general in the US the other day? The first female army general.
You're talking about admiral. It's naval admiral. And you're talking
Navy admiral. That was a big
and you're talking about
women, right?
Yeah, you're talking about the head of the oh my God, what is it? The head of the trans woman. Yeah, the head of the NIH or some shit there like that Biden put in there. But no, they're the same person.
Mention that she's actually a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it? The State Farm ads or whatever? He's like, yeah, well, she's a guy, so like, yeah, I'm just saying. What else do we have here? Some more interesting stuff there. I mean, we could do an entire show on the entire trans thing, but I don't want to offend a bunch of people on YouTube to the point that we're going to get taken down there, because I feel like it's a whole entire separate ball of wax. And if we're doing an episode on it, I want to do a whole goddamn episode on it, because if my shit's getting taken down for talking about everything we've talked about up until this point because of that shit, I would feel like such an asshole.
Let's bring in Andre and see how he's
right on.
Welcome, Andre. How are you?
Oh, the Gosner. Not too bad, thanks. Yourselves?
Yeah, pretty good. Not too bad. Just dealing with the confusion and the lack of certainty about the future. What about yourself?
Yes, yeah, in good old South Africa, same stuff. Sort of, we got rolling blackouts like you can't believe. I mean, the average household in the last few weeks has had up to 9, 10 hours a day with no power.
Holy shit.
They've spent nearly 500 billion rand on, refurbishing our stations, electricity, coal-fired stations, and they built 2 massive ones. But what happened is the majority was just corrupt, stolen. They built a 200 million rand plant, 2 new ones, and it turned out the whole control center, wasn't functioning. So they had to scrap it and start from scratch. Of course, all that money is gone. And then, just as an example, a few years ago, we had a massive, there's so much corruption here, but there was actually, they bought locomotives, which was the highest of the bids. But it turned out, guess what? When they were all delivered, hundreds of millions later, it couldn't fit through our tunnels, none of them. They were the wrong size locomotives.
Wow.
I love the way they just throw money away like it's just nothing. They do that in the UK as well. They literally spend millions on projects, and then they're just like, nah, you know what? Let's just forget this. And
yes, it's totally corrupt. I mean, the economy takes a massive pounding when you got electricity out for 9, 10 hours a day. It's pure madness. But
y'all still dealing with riots over there?
Yes. Well, look, I mean, we had those major July riots. We're expecting some pretty soon. There's local government elections tomorrow. They've declared it a public holiday. So it's like the municipal, the provinces and the towns, etc. So it's not a national election, but it's a national election for the local government tomorrow. So, I'm sure all of those votes will be cooked anyway. So, you can take it with a pinch of salt what those results are, a la USA, etc.,
Yeah, well,
and,
exactly.
Andre,
and regardless of who wins, I'm sure there'll be riots because, as always,
yes,
right?
What do they say? Welcome to the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yep.
How's the vaccine situation over there, Andre? I mean, do you in Ukraine at the moment you can't actually go to a shop now and buy food without proving you have a vaccine? How about where you are?
No, well, look, I haven't had it and I'll never have it. None of our family has had it, etc. It's a total scam. But they haven't yet placed any restrictions on, but I'm sure that's in the works pretty soon where they're going to have some other vaccine card. But as it stands at the moment, there's nothing specifically. But, this Cyril Ramaphosa, the supposed president, I mean, he's in, George Soros's pocket. They get heavily funded. I'm sure whatever Georgie wants, Georgie will get,
Always does, man. Always seems to. I mean, when you have that much money and you're willing to throw all of it at the wall at any fucking cause that tickles your fancy, then yeah, you kind of tend to get that, man. I really wish that people worldwide weren't so goddamn predictable, because so far it's not seeming like humans are that different no matter what part of the world we're in, because Jesus Christ, everybody's willing to sell out for a little bit of lucre. It's pretty fucking pathetic.
Yeah, it's madness. But I can't believe what's going on in the US. Look, we know it's pretty messed up, but I can't believe that San Francisco thing where is that if you steal $900 or less, they can't arrest you. And the guys are literally just walking in shops, free for alls, walking past cops. And I mean, it's pure insanity.
Yeah, no, dude, I've seen that. It's fucking insane. It is. But I can also think of nothing more appropriate for a place like San Francisco than to just fucking implode in crime. And it will literally implode in crime. There's going to reach a point where they have nothing else they could do, because they're just, $900 here, $900 here, times 250,000, right? And then fucking 250,000 robberies later, all of a sudden you have no fucking city because nobody's willing to live there anymore. No business is willing to open in a place where just hundreds of dollars of stock can just walk the fuck off the shelf in one instant. In one instant, let's say they get 100 guys there. And now suddenly it's fucking $90,000.
Yeah. It's just madness. It's madness. And then that other ridiculous thing you had, I know it happened a while ago, but it only came to light recently where that girl was raped in the boys' toilet by a boy that had a skirt on because he was transgender. And he had done that in another school. It's pure madness.
Yeah, man. that's where we're at now. That's why we were just talking earlier about the whole thing in the UK of them trying to make it so that trans women are considered men when they commit crimes. It reveals that what these people are doing in the beginning, in and of itself, is mental illness, not just the idea of I am this, I am that, but the very people that are trying to foist this upon the fucking rest of us are suffering pretty obviously from heavy mental illness and delusion of the idea that they can force all the rest of us to sit and play tea time with a bunch of fucking freaks, and we're all just supposed to, okay, this is fine, but then normal people that want to do normal shit in society, you can't do that. How dare you be normal? It's fucking alien to me.
It's like the males taking part in the female, weightlifting competitions. I mean, it's crazy. We had that one woman, this Caster Semenya, who is literally, I mean, she's more male than I am. Fair enough, she can't help it, okay? So she was born like that. But, I mean, her voice is about 10 decibels high, lower than mine. But the point being is that's why they were complaining, because she's got male genes inside of her. So how can that be fair? I mean, she was born a hermaphrodite. So, she can't help that. But at the same time, you can't take part in Olympic Games against a legitimate woman. It's just not fair.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's what you just have there is that one example. Almost every other one is just straight up, not hermaphrodites, but just straight up biological males full on that just go and beat the shit out of a woman somewhere. I mean, my God, the UFC stuff and the MMA stuff has been absolutely fucking atrocious. I don't think women should be in a ring fighting and all that stuff in the first place, but I'm an old fashioned goober, right? Whereas, okay, that's not what people want to be about. But I am not okay with watching dudes beat the shit out of women, and yet for some reason, all you have to do is put a bow in your hair and say, I'm a girl now, and you can just wail on bitches, and apparently that's okay. That's cool, but some guy that does it in his fucking house when he's getting drunk and, don't tell me what to do, woman, suddenly that guy's a fucking monster and a piece of shit. But if he put on a dress and then did it, he would be so empowered. It would just be so empowering.
I agree. I mean, I saw a video a while back where, I don't know why women so badly want to be men. It just doesn't make sense. Everyone has their role to play. And she challenged the army barracks that she'll take on anyone and she'll kick their ass, male or female. So the first guy she comes up against, and he kicked her ass.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't like it's not like we're just being assholes. There's like basic scientific fact, biological reality, right? Like shit that we can't change. It's not like I'm saying this because I don't like whammons and shit like that. It's always been so silly to me from the beginning, because it's the same thing, honestly, to me when it comes to the trans stuff is my heart bleeds for a lot of these people that have a lot of fucking problems and psychological issues and shit. And I genuinely hope that they can find help and be taken care of and become happy in their fucking lives and all this shit. However, my problem is people forcing me at gunpoint to sit down and play tea time with fucking weirdos. I do not want to be a part of your life. You do not want to be a part of mine. We should not be forced to sit down at the same table and play dress up, man. That's fucking weird. And yet society just has the gun pointed directly at you and is like, doesn't she look pretty today? And you're like, this is a man with a fucking bow in their hair.
A man or a woman? I mean, you're 5 years old. But,
exactly.
About Casper.
Caster Semenya.
Yeah, she actually has a girlfriend or got married and had a kid as well, right?
Yeah, she got married to another lesbian, but I don't know if they adopted a child or whatever. Okay. But she's the man in the relationship, but she. They're both females for what it's worth.
I'm not sure that she did adopt. I kind of got the impression that was their biological child.
Could be. I haven't been following it, but nothing would surprise me. But she was banned from running the 800 meters in the last Olympics. So she couldn't do that. Like I say, that's a little bit of a different case because she was born like that. These other people are intentionally trying to convert themselves. I mean, it could have just as well been me and you born like that. It's just she can't help it.
Yeah.
But the others are forcing themselves upon you through an unnatural process.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's the key is the freedom.
If we didn't have our weakest people in society men in general are meant to protect women and children in society. And we as men have, and I don't like to take the credit for all sorts of bullshit that other people do, but I feel like men in general have dropped the fucking ball on this one and have absolutely let other men victimize the shit out of women and children, and have let women and children begin victimizing themselves en masse without stepping up and saying no. And I know that people will act like, oh, what a patriarchal, ridiculous idea, but men need to start acting like fucking men, because if we don't, then it's game, set, match. It's over.
I'll be honest with you. I agree with you. I think some women have literally felt the need to step up to the plate because their men and other men are literally wimp-bags.
Yep. Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
so they've been forced in a situation because men have become so feminized, it's not even funny.
Well, and a lot of people will act like that it's not what women are into and whatnot, but it totally is. It's the idea that gender roles and all this exist for a reason. And if you're somebody that believes in evolution, they've literally evolved over millennia of human beings trying to thrive and exist as well as possible in nature. And this is supposedly what they evolved with. If you're somebody that believes in creationism, these traits were literally built into you by God. So regardless of what side you believe on this shit, these traits are something we have for a reason. And guys in general need to stop being willing to step away from their ideals because of the softness of women's hearts. And I hate to fucking put it like that, but there's a reason feminism is one of the big fucking cancers within all of this. Agree.
And I'm so glad that Deontay Wilder got his head smashed in again by Tyson Fury 3 weeks ago, because that freak, you know what he said? He would love to be pregnant. I mean, how can you have a heavyweight champion who declared he would love to be pregnant and give birth to a child? Never mind that he's got 10 already from about 9 women. But I mean, the point being is that is the mentality, even of a world champion heavyweight boxer and like one of the most powerful punchers. If that's the psyche of the USA, that is so scary.
Yep. Well, yeah, and it is. And I genuinely feel a lot of that has come from the softening of people, because men will always go where women are at, right? And they will always try, and whether or not it's for good or ill, will always try and do whatever they've got to do to please the woman that they're attracted to in their life and whatnot. I mean, obviously, other than homosexual men or whatever who do the same thing, but now for a man, right? Obviously can't. But as a society, it's something that I remember as a Hitler quote of, to control a society, you have to control its women, right? And that is exactly how you do, because women are the ones taking care of children at home, and then thus they raise those children and inculcate them with the ideas that they, foist upon the rest of the world as the next generation. And I genuinely feel like that's why women have been targeted with a lot of the social justice sort of insanity, because it plays upon the natural empathy of women, who in general want to care, want to nurture, want to love. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is instead used against them as a tool, as a weapon, in order to try and destroy them and destroy their children and get them to be down with destroying their children. It's super fucking evil. I mean, it gets them to literally be like, the worst thing in the world you could be is married with children, which is quite literally a biological drive that you want as a woman that literally is inside you, like fucking have babies, get married, but no, can't do that.
I mean, even if you watch stuff on TikTok, I mean, the women just try to be so masculine there. And, it's actually been proven. They did a, I don't know, worldwide, but they did research here in South Africa. They actually proved that women swear about 3 times more than men.
Compensating for something?
Promise you, and that just, if you just go on TikTok generally, I mean, the women just, they've got them. I mean, these women farting on these videos and they think it. I mean, it's, I don't know. There's just no class.
Some people are into that, Andre.
It's crazy, man. Hey? I don't know.
That is so gross, man.
What the world's come to, but
women, females are a powerful force. I mean. That's it's no accident they use attractive women as spies to seduce people.
Honey trap.
And I would like to say to any MI5 operatives out there, if you're thinking of sending a beautiful woman to try and seduce me and get me to change my way of thinking, and if that woman looks like Jennifer Connelly, then do your best. Just go for it. See if it works.
I'll send a lady boy. Send a lady boy for you from Thailand.
No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, well, it's pretty local, man. At least just keep it local. Keep it local. Let's see what else we got on our news stuff. We got Biden's Italy fiasco, which already is fucking embarrassing as all get out. The stuff with him and Macron, I believe it was, where the media doesn't even let him finish the conversation that they're having at the time. Or not the media. The media starts trying to ask him questions and whatnot, right? Biden's handlers literally do the same shit that they've been doing for the last like month and a half now of the thank you, time to leave, everybody, bye, thank you.
Odd. He's been acting. Did you see that double-fisted thing he keeps doing?
It's because he can't really fucking remember where he's at. Those sorts of actions he's making. That's something that my fiance, again, as somebody that's an HCA, has been noticing the actual trend of his mental decline for like over the last year and a half, 2 years, right? I mean, he's obviously been, he's scum no matter what, right? At the end of the day, he's a piece of shit. I don't fall for the, oh, poor old man routine they want to throw at that. But regardless, it is still really fucking sad and gross to see these people parade some dude who's losing his mind on television publicly.
He is. Yeah.
He's going senile. And it's fucking depressing because some of that shit they won't let him take questions because he literally can't take questions. He just kind of fucking does a weird little whoop-de-whoop around the question and just kind of looks confused and shit. And then the fact that there are rumors going around right now, international political rumors, that the reason the fucking Pope didn't actually televise the stuff with him and Biden and all this, and that it took so long with their meeting and whatnot, is that Biden literally had an accident at the Vatican. And I'm not joking, dude. The fact that we're at a point where it's believable. It's fucking believable. It's not even just some goddamn like political bullshit where it's like, oh, well, Donald Trump peed himself or whatever. Donald Trump gets peed on by whores or something. It doesn't feel like that, man. The fact that everybody across the board could believe, yeah, okay, that old dude probably shit himself.
No, there's clearly something wrong with it. I saw a video the other day where he went to shake hands with someone, but that person was shaking hands with someone else. And then he did his double-fisted thing because he got confused. And his wife's looking down at him like, oh, no, he's doing the double-fisted thing, and kind of looked concerned. It was just like the guy's got issues. I wouldn't be surprised if they...
I don't think he's going to make it another year.
Yeah, I think 6 months at the most,
Yep. So what do you think, Andre, about the whole Biden situation right now as somebody looking from the outside?
I'll be honest, I think he's a total freak show. My personal opinion, I honestly do not believe it's the same guy. There's no way that's the same physical person from back in the day. Even if you just go and look at it, hear his voice and sort of look at the profile, everyone showed the ears and everything, but it's not the same person.
Well, I've seen some of those weird ass videos where they have him like clipping in and out of stuff where it's like they photoshopped him into the fucking video because it's like he doesn't belong.
Yeah, with a green screen. Yeah. No, I cannot stand the guy. I think he's absolute human garbage. I mean, he's been proven over the years to be a plagiarist. He's a liar. He's a con man.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I mean, Aussie here says he apparently got plastic surgery, but whether or not you buy that, I'm like, I don't know, man.
And I rest my case if his son Hunty is the smartest person he knows. Doesn't that tell you?
Real.
We're in big trouble then. Yeah.
No, look, it's a disgrace what's going on there. I mean, if you just look at his subordinate, what the vice president. I mean, that's a bigger joke.
Kamala.
I mean, Hamilton. Yeah. I mean, it's a joke. I really do believe she could strongly potentially be a male in disguise as well. I reckon.
Yeah, I could see it, but I know at very least she is the same thing as what Barry Soetoro is, a fucking Barack Obama, where she is Miss International. She's supposed to be somebody that has no tie to any tribe, any group of people, anything like that, because she's supposed to represent the new world order of the new international human and stuff like that. It's creepy shit.
Correct. I agree with you fully. And besides that, I mean, this Barry Soetoro was obviously born in Kenya. We all know that. He got away with that. And, he's a full-on, Muslim. And, I mean, he's never obviously declared that. But the point being, is that I think America's got major issues. I see at least Cuomo seems to have some or other legal cases coming up against him there, so that's something good. I heard this week. I mean, that's a real vile entity, that him and his brother on CNN.
Yeah, my goodness, can we just not reach a point where, like, as a world, that we just kind of take CNN out of the equation? I mean, I hate the rest of them, Fox News and all these guys, but my God, is CNN not filled with the most arrogant human beings to ever exist? That Don Lemon guy is just fucking the worst. The second I'm like, there's no one that could be worse than Anderson Cooper, and then Don Lemon opens his fucking mouth, and I'm like, yeah, he's strong contender. Like,
well, at least Joe Rogan gave that guy hell, that Sanjay Gupta. So put him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he literally lied about him on air and stuff like that, and then went and tried to insinuate that Joe Rogan threatened him and whatnot. I can't stand Joe Rogan. I think he's an asshole and all this stuff, but I still give him full props, full credit on that one, because they slandered him. They fucking slandered him on national television, and then act like they can just get away with being like, oh, we're the #1 trusted source in news type shit. Fuck that.
Well, if you take any of these broadcasters and presenters, they very rarely get kind of grilled by any listeners and like, hey, you said this, so if they were, then I think you'd get a similar story. Any last comments, Andre, before we're going to bring someone else in?
Yeah, guys, just wish you all the best there, and stay safe. And I just get a feeling something big's coming along somewhere. I don't know what, how, when. I just think the damn wall's about to burst.
Yeah, I was going to actually name this show "The Calm Before the Storm" because I totally agree. There's something big's coming. I just do believe things have, just reached such a lunacy that it surely can't continue. It's reached. It's between lunacy and laughable.
Yeah, it's the fall of Rome. We're getting to see it, but it's worldwide.
I really do think that the emperor's about to, be revealed.
Something's going to happen. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Andre.
All the best, guys. Keep well. Nice chatting.
Stay free, brother, man.
Thanks. Keep well. Bye.
Thanks, Andre. Yeah, as always, good comments there from Andre. And we've got Ossie joining us as well now. Let's see how Ossie's getting on. How's things in your neck of the woods, Ossie?
Howdy.
Hi there.
Yeah. Things are, I mean, things are good, I guess. I mean, in my personal life, things are fine. I'm still lucky. Nothing's really changed or whatever.
Nice.
But, it's just like, of course, the world, the world's getting worse. So it's like, it half and half. But
if you can still, be happy whilst it's all crumbling around you, then you'll be a man, my son. I think that the quote was.
What's that from?
I mean, that sounds really familiar. For as long as I can.
What's that quote? Is it Rudyard Kipling or someone like that said that?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll see. Carry on.
Sure if it was like no. That's very interesting. What was I saying?
You're cool, man.
I was going to say to you.
I'm sorry, no.
I was going to say to you, Ossie, how about the vaccine situation? Are you still under restrictions where you are? Are you? Have there been any kind of segregation going on there?
No. So again, like I'm lucky enough to be living in a not Democrat-controlled state, so that's why my life pretty much can continue as normal.
Right on, man.
It's funny because Republicans still suck, but it's still politically,
I totally get you.
Maybe some of them still do have a spine. Yeah, maybe I don't know if they're maybe it's hard to. It's just crazy that it's almost like the parties have flipped again. Like when they flipped in America, when they flipped like during the 60s or whatever. It's almost like they're flipping again.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Old guard. I mean, never mind. I'm not gonna talk. But yeah, you know what I mean. So I mean, just going to Biden, I guess. I mean, like Seth said something where it's like, if you were going to like collapse a society, this is exactly how you would go about doing that. And it's like, it's not just collapsing, but it's like just, it's humiliation. It's, you know, from like the way we left Afghanistan to like electing a clearly senile president. I mean, even back to like Russiagate, where like everyone knew it was fake. I mean, well, not everyone, but a lot of people knew it was fake, and like most of the world knew it was fake, but still, like we on like a global stage, people got to see us propagandized by our own intelligence services. It's like it's a world class. We're just being embarrassed constantly. And yeah, I mean, this Biden thing is like the biggest thing. It's really hard to, like you said, it's like you almost feel bad for him because he's clearly completely demented. He's completely just, his brain is almost just rotted away. But still, he's also evil, so it's like he can go fuck himself.
I feel it.
And yeah, but yeah, I had what was I gonna talk about? Yeah, you guys did mention earlier about like how eventually, at least I think that these vaccine mandates are sort of setting a precedent that they're sort of setting a precedent of like, we have no bodily autonomy. I think that's like the big reason that they're doing this, because yes, eventually they do want to like completely control, they can have complete like biometric control over us, like literally have no expectation of privacy even within your own body, because yes, eventually like forced transhumanism, I think, is the ultimate goal, and to achieve that you need the precedent that we have no right to like our own body, which is crazy like when you say that out loud, but like that's the goal, is to say like, I have no right to you, like the government can put whatever they want inside of me.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of that is where
like
the Humanity Plus stuff, if you ever heard of H Plus magazine, I find it so interesting that plus thing has become ubiquitous in almost all aspects of the LGBTQ plus, the Disney plus, Amazon, whatever plus, any streaming service you can think of as plus, anything like that. And it's always that little bit of extra. To me, it's the same thing as trans. I'm not trying to sound transphobic here, but when trans is in everything, it's to try and create this emotional drive that it is normalized. And so then when people talk about transhumanism and the idea that, well, no, I'm more than human, I am beyond human, I am robo-human and all this fucking shit, and being a cyborg, they're trying to make it seem a little bit less crazy. But I have a strange feeling, and I'm sure you do too there, Aussie, that it's not so much about improving the conditions of life for the average person as it is controlling their basic biological functions so that you can have complete and total control over them, of do what I say or I hit this eraser on my pen and your heart stops and you fucking die, right? That feels like the sort of world they're trying to create.
And they're also creating systems around that, like, you know, with the if you have to be isolated, they're kind of put into quarantine. They can do that to anyone now. So if they don't like you, it's pretty damn easy to disappear you these days, isn't it? Just say, oh, we just use the dodgy PCR test or any test that they come up with in the future, then say, oh, we had, you know, where's Scott gone? Oh. We had to isolate him. We tested him; he's positive, and then, you know, nobody ever sees you again. I think that's all coming in the future. They're setting up that kind of system at the moment.
Well, we can only hope that it doesn't work. So
I mean, it's absolutely coming. I mean, it's what the social
you're on point.
Score. Yeah, no, I mean, who did they? I think it was like General Flynn. I mean, there are way more examples than him, but like, of people being of people losing their banking privileges.
One of the big ones that I know of personally there was the Red Ice TV, or like Henrik Palmgren or whatever. Those people had been shut down on almost every single banking thing that they were a part of and whatnot, for being a part of evil alt-right, anti-Semite, rabble, so on and so forth. The same bullshit that they say for anybody that they want to get out of the way.
And so that's right. I mean, you could just say anything. And that's what, I mean, we've been seeing since I've been alive. I don't know. I'm sure this happened before, but I mean, if you like, I don't read financial news or anything, but at least I see almost like, not almost, like much more frequently these days are these huge mergers that are taking place when, you know, like one company's buying another company for like fucking $300 billion or something, like these ridiculous sums. AT&T is buying, you know, like Viacom or something for 200. There's this constant consolidation. The only way that these companies are even able to do that, first of all, is through like government subsidizing them, or like propping them up because they're quote unquote too big to fail. But this has been the goal for decades. You know, I mean, most famously it happened in 2008, where all of these like hedge funds and insurance companies and everything were either like bought out by the government, or like propped up by the government through a bailout, or they were absorbed by bigger banks or bigger hedge funds or bigger whatever. And so many of the community banks either went away or were absorbed by fucking Bank of America. And it happened again during this pandemic, where all of the small restaurants, all of the small stores, all of the small anything, they weren't even allowed to fucking function. But like the Walmarts could, the Amazon.
Well, it's actually one of the things here is that we have a new class of billionaire and trillionaires that have been created by this. Elon Musk is close to becoming the world's first trillionaire during all this shit. And then several of these, I think it's something like 9 or 10 of the vaccine CEOs and like presidents, vice presidents of all these different companies have become billionaires freshly now. So billionaire club getting bigger. Good times, right?
And so this pandemic, so many businesses have been consolidated or shut down. Where there used to be a mom and pop restaurant, there's now a McDonald's or whatever. Where there used to be, you know, a small fucking hardware store, there's just like another big box, or they just shut them down because either they were smashed during the George Floyd riots, or they were forced to go out of business due to lockdowns, or they were just absorbed by a fucking multinational corporation that made $1 trillion through the pandemic. And so now the people have less and less choice of where they can work. That's why vaccine mandates are even possible, because they've absorbed all of the smaller businesses where people could work. So now there's like 10, 15 companies that any given person can work for.
Most of them are on the same page as the New World Order, because most of them, their CEOs and stuff, are Bilderbergers and all that shit. Exactly.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, and so when they say like, there's nowhere to run, there's no like, I'm just going to go work for a small shop. It's the consolidation of us all on just like these corporatized plantations.
Well said.
And it's sad because it's been happening for a while. And it's both parties. It's everyone's fucking in on it. It's not capitalism. It's fascistic corporatism. But they are consolidating. I mean, to the point where, like I said, any given person only has so many options, and they'll be forced to get the vaccine because these 15 companies or whatever that control everything, they all have vaccine mandates. So what do you do? And that's the only way that they're able to do that is through years of government bailouts, of taxpayer-funded bailouts. To fucking it's insane. It's insane when you think about it. But I don't remember what made me go off on that tangent. But
we like tangents anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, and I think you're doing fine, man. It's one of the things that with a lot of this, with what you brought up of how the consolidation of everything at the top. It's very interesting to see that left wing, right wing people will try and fall back into their little tribes. Especially, I hate to have to always harp on them because they get shit on by everybody, but the Trumpers and all this stuff down with like the QAnon and everything like that. Donald Trump is Mr. Operation Warp Speed. He's literally like Mr. Sign in to affect trillions of dollars for everybody from the big banks to drug companies and all this sort of shit. He is Mr. Israel, right? He is Mr. New World Order as much as Joe Biden or any of these other guys. It's jumping back into the tribalism stuff is never going to help us dig our way out of this or construct our way out of the hole that we've dug ourselves into, right? Just doing it's the insanity thing. Doing the same thing over and over again is never going to lead to actual change. And anybody that thinks it does is fucking insane. And Donald Trump or Joe Biden or whoever they have run afterwards, because if Trump runs again in 2024, I'm sure there's a ton of people that would try and fucking vote for him and think that somehow he'll save the country from the edge of collapse or something like that.
Not just the country, the whole world, Seth.
The world. Yes, I know. I can't stand that shit, and it is so cheesy.
It's so
what else we got
ridiculous
here
as well.
for our closing notes? I've got a couple different ones for you. Every protest not controlled by NWO losers is just like January 6th, right? The media across the board has said that. Tried to say January 6th is worse than 9/11, and anybody that does anything ever outside their wheelhouse, fucking January 6th, man. Like, oosh.
I'm really convinced that the plan for January 6th, I mean, it was supposed to be much worse than it was.
I think the pandemic, the COVID-19
with
maybe
it because
was supposed to be worse.
Yeah.
Was also, it's supposed to be, yeah. I just, but because like the narrative was already there. So I feel like, you know, when you're like, oh, it's like worse than Pearl Harbor, it's worse than 9/11, people are like, what the fuck? Like, one person died. It was just one person. Like, what do we do? Like, I really think that they thought like, you know, I guess the Trump.
Well, if they had a supposed bomb threat thing or some bullshit, who knows if they didn't actually intend to carry out something like that? You know what I mean? And I thought it was total bullshit, but like they could have literally intended to actually do some shit like that so they could fucking point to that forever afterwards. But let's just be honest, they didn't even have to do that because most of the people that are listening to these motherfuckers at this point are some of the dumbest people to ever exist. And I'm not pulling punches with this one. We're talking they can literally WWE level do just the most cheesy shit you ever seen, and people will buy it. People will buy it. They can have Joe Biden literally drooling out from under his fucking mask, and people will be like, no, what are you talking about? Best president ever. Most popular president ever. Come on, man.
Especially
he's the best.
Especially when they control the media. And it's the same with the pandemic as well. I mean, you've got a disease that, according to the government's own figures, is kind of 99.96% survivable by most people. But they can use the media to kind of give you the impression that everyone should be wearing hazmat suits and, you know...
they could get us to all ban swimming pools tomorrow if they fucking fear-mongered people about swimming pools the way they do COVID.
Yeah,
you got it,
absolutely. Man. I mean, it's ridiculous. Honestly, over here in Thailand, people, you can tell people have got the impression this is a deadly disease. It's even been mentioned as a deadly disease. It's not a deadly disease, according to the government's own figures. It's literally not. Yeah. Any final comments, Ossie? We're probably winding down soon anyway, so let me know what your closing comments are.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Last thing I wanted to say is that at least in America, you know, they are just, if you needed any more proof that like both parties are full of shit, you know, they're negotiating a new budget bill, and the war in Afghanistan has ended, but military spending has increased, and it's like, but we ended a war, right? That should have been a big chunk of the budget. It's like, no, they need more money. So if you're wondering who actually runs shit and on the planet, there's your answer. But yeah, as for last words, same as always, be positive, show kindness to one another, because you never know what someone is going through. Better yourself and your local community and learn some useful skills. And if you can, if you are legally able to, buy a firearm, learn how to use it safely, and learn how to use laws, of course, but protect yourself. and fucking stock up on food and water. All right, that's it. See you guys later, man. Thanks for doing this.
Righteous. Peace, man.
Yeah.
You have a good one.
Thanks for joining us, Ossie. Good as always. Anyone else who would like to come and join for the last? We've probably got only 5 minutes to go now, but if anyone would like to come and say anything, the link's there in the chat. But Ribka TV says, unfortunately, collapse of this civilization is fully controlled to build something new. Yeah, they are. They're obviously doing the Great Reset. If something's working correctly, there's no need to change it. If you want to build a new order, destroy the old. They've been talking about this new world order for decades now.
Oh, if not centuries. Because I mean, think about the idea of
centuries
Novus Ordo Seclorum. I mean, come on.
Novus Ordo Seclorum, yeah, it's been on the dollar bill for a long time. Of course, that was all a conspiracy theory for many years until they all started saying it and are still saying it up to this day.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Why would you believe that, Scott? What do we have here? For me, closing thoughts, what do we have? Parents pulling children out of schools at an incredible rate. Chicago schools alone have lost 10,000 students because of parents pulling them out and putting them into homeschooling. So, I mean,
I'm not surprised. I would, if I had a kid, I would do the same, especially since the whole school systems are now a joke. Literally only one kid has to test positive, then everyone has to go home. In the UK, they're testing kids like almost every once or twice a week now, and they're wondering why the cases have gone up because they're obviously using the PCR test. So the cases have rocketed up.
Well, also, if they're using the PCR test, it means that they're breaking the mucus, like blood-brain barrier with these kids repeatedly. And the more that you break that barrier, it's literally the more likely you are to get sick. I mean, quite literally, we've known this for a long time. It's why people that snort drugs and shit like that have such fucking immune system problems. But hey, wouldn't want to fucking consider anything like that. But
as Ribka TV says, pure sabotage is what's going on. Yeah, the whole schooling system is being sabotaged because it's inoperable. If you're always going to have one kid that tests positive, everyone gets sent home. There's going to be complete mayhem. No one's going to be able to study properly. Better off studying at home.
Yep, exactly. What else we have? End of the Marvel superhero blockbusters. Obviously, this wasn't some real fucking high thing on the news for us to talk about, but whatever, right? That new Eternals movie is like
superheroes now, aren't they?
Yeah, right. Well, they literally tried to sell the whole Eternals movie on like LGBTQIASSS2 plus minus 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, right? Like whatever, right? But they tried to sell the entire movie on that. No one gives a shit. Nobody wants to watch it. It's like utter dog shit. Is the lowest ratings they've fucking had and lowest opening grossing stuff they've had in a minute. Following on Shang-Chi, which was following on Black Widow, and it's just I would be very, very glad to see the death of the fucking superhero blockbuster movie in my lifetime, because I don't really give a fuck what they replace it with, but it's going to be hard pressed to not be just more of a giant piece of crap spectacle with zero substance than what they've been like leeching everything off parasitically for the last, oh my God, like almost 20 years of superhero movie bullshit. I'm so fucking tired of that crap. And then finally, last bit of information here is like Dave Chappelle, and I disagree with Dave on all sorts of stuff here, but like Dave Chappelle, be uncancelable. Do not allow these people to get you on the back foot where you go, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Oh, what did I do? Or anything. Fuck that. Be uncancelable. Have confidence in yourself. Work for what you want, for your goals. And do not allow some people with harsh words to steer you away from your goals, man. Be like Dave Chappelle on that sense. Be uncancelable. All these people want to do is to try and get you to doubt yourself and get you and everyone around you to start believing that, well, you know, if I say the wrong thing, then they'll cancel me and all this. It's about a chilling effect on free speech overall, and about causing people to stop, not only censor themselves, but also the censorship of words eventually becomes the censorship of thought. It's a very George Carlin quote there. So that's what I wanted to end on. Do you have anything there, Scott?
First of all, I'd like to mention the what's going on. I think it's in Glasgow, is it? The COP20. Let me just check if that's happening in Glasgow, where they're talking about climate change. Because I've just checked the BBC. Yeah, COP26. Boris Johnson just said, if Glasgow fails, the whole thing fails. I've got a feeling that something some big changes are going to be afoot blamed on climate change, and what's happening at COP26
they've already started.
is
Yeah,
going to
they've already
kick it off
started.
big time. This COP26 is going to be the start of where they come out and tell everyone, well, we're going to have these restrictions and these restrictions. Aussie says,
Well, it's exactly
I was done
like
after the
COVID.
last Avengers. I
Well, no,
actually
I
fell
totally get
asleep.
them on that.
Yeah, fair enough. I wasn't so much into the superhero movies anyway, but they're
Yeah, well, it's the kind
becoming
of comics you read as a
ridiculous.
kid, or kind of TV shows you see as a kid. When you're a kid, okay,
It's
whatever,
like
man, it's great.
Superman, yeah.
Yeah, but like as an adult, you're like, oh, it's kind of cheesy, dude. Whatever. But granted, I will still say, and this is something that a guy I listened to a lot. Was it Young Ripper 96 or something like that? That Eric July guy. There's great stuff on it of talking about fighting the culture war. It's part of why I wrote a book. You can buy my book. Check out my book on Amazon, Threads of Fate by Seth Joseph. But regardless,
check it out, everyone. Threads of Fate.
But regardless, fighting the culture war is so appropriate and so important because most people that are aware of what is happening have this weird idea that even something as childish as the superhero movies or comic books or whatever is something to just, oh, whatever, leave it to the SJW weirdos or whoever wants to be a part of that. The thing is, those people now control society. And there's entire generations of adults now that are essentially Arrested Development children that are being propagandized directly through these fucking comic books and through these movies and stuff. Either you make your own culture and you make stuff that people can fucking appreciate and can learn from and better themselves with and enjoy, or they will. And they are not interested in bettering people. They're interested in disseminating propaganda. So,
and controlling people as well.
Exactly.
And I wanted to kind of finish off with saying that it might come across that we're against people who are vaccinated and stuff, but if you're a listener and you're vaccinated, do come on and tell us.
Yeah.
We're quite willing to talk to people, and we're not saying it's more about choice. It's more about I think if you want to have the vaccine, go ahead. I personally think it's a very bad idea, but go ahead and do it. But it's all about choice and not having things thrust down your throat, not having things mandated, not being forced. And if you're trans as well, I've got no problem with that. I sometimes teach here in Thailand, and one of my students was trans and probably one of the best students in the class. So it's not that we've got anything against any of this. It's having things forced upon you and changing society in an appropriate way. That's what it's about. So do come and talk to us, whatever view or viewpoint you've got. Thank you for joining us, everyone, today. Positive note to finish on. Well, as before, try and step away from some of this. Sometimes just go for a walk, enjoy nature, get fit. I'm trying to do the same myself. It's not always easy, I know. If we do get kicked off, just a reminder: www.truthsentinel.co.uk, or find us on Odyssey, BitChute. What's the other one? Brand YouTube. Brand YouTube is becoming very popular.
Nice. That should be one to put a bit more into.
Yeah, I definitely would consider that as a possible alternative if we get kicked off, because I think they do streaming as well, and there is quite a following. It's a bit one-sided. I mean, it tends to be alternative types, but hey, if we're going to get kicked off the mainstream, then we've got no choice. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Seth, as well, for joining us. And
always, man.
Always good to talk to everyone. Come and join us next time. Don't be shy. Just click on that link next time, everyone. We'd love to hear from more people. So enjoy your week, everyone, and catch you next time we have a show, which could be 2 to 4 weeks, depending on what's happening in the world.
Hell, it could be next week, depending on if the world ends. I mean, come on now.
If the world ends,
there might not be a show at all,
and we get prior notice, and it ends like in 2 days, then we'll try and squeeze in another one before Armageddon hits. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Oh, let me put the outro music on just to make it professional.
Good call.